So you might have heard the news. The Sigma FPL is new and coming tomorrow. And it promises to replace the original Sigma FP and surpass it by making good on many of the promises that the original camera had. Perhaps we're going to have a lovely new Sigma FP with a flippy tilde, whatever. I don't know the vision, but maybe we're going to have something where we can actually see from in front of the lens what's going on behind the lens. That would be great. That would be primo. Now, as far as there are going to be a couple of packages, and I want to brace you for this. Word on the street is that the new Sigma FP, the L variant, is going to be some $500 more expensive than the original. And I'm thinking for that kind of money, it better bring some serious credentials, because let's face it, if you go for the EVF version, which of course I have an external EVF option now, if you go for that variant, it's going to run you $3,000. And at $3,000, well, you're a stone's throw away from a brand new Sony a7S III. You could have a Blackmagic Pocket 6K Pro, although I'm not sure you'd want one with all the issues they've had with reliability. That's another story. But the point is that you got to bring your A game if you're going to be playing with the big boys. And at that price range, you are squarely in the sights of the big boys, from Sony, Panasonic, everyone, anyone worth mentioning. And yes, before I forget, Canon, yes, you are in their sights. So Sigma, do bring your A game. Now, it's my understanding that the new camera has a new sensor, and the new sensor is a 60.2, hit me up if I'm wrong, megapixel sensor. The Sony IMX 513 BQR, and I could be wrong on that number, but I don't think I am. Why is this sensor special? You're probably wondering, who cares? Who cares? This sensor is allegedly derived from a sensor that was in a former Sony camera, and that former camera was the F65 RS. Now, this is a camera that the body alone would retail for $77,000, and a shootable package would run you just under 100 grand. And they shot movies, blockbuster movies. One that comes to mind is a movie called Lucy. You might have seen it, where the girl gets really, really smart from taking this drug. That's not a message in there, but she gets really, really smart from taking the drug, and she can do all sorts of crazy things as she gets full working of her brain, if you would. But anyway, I digress. The bottom line is that if you've seen any of the footage from the Sony F65 RS, you would be very impressed. As a matter of fact, maybe you wouldn't. You'd just say, wow, this looks like a Hollywood movie. Because it does. That's exactly what that sensor does. So if we're going to get a sensor that can output that kind of quality in this camera, then maybe it's worth it. But it's only worth it if it can maintain that lovely small shooting package. Because to me, it makes very little sense to get this tiny small camera that then is not functional in a tiny package. And let me give you an example. When I had the original Sigma FP, I loved it. When I took it out of the box and I felt the quality, the lovely build, oh, it was so good. But while it could take a lovely image, no denying the camera could shoot lovely footage. And while it was a pleasure to work with the menus, they were very, very well thought out. Really, a lovely exercise by Sigma. The screen was good quality, far better than the rubbish screen I get on my Sonys. They're still using screens from the 1980s, apparently. But the point is what it lacked were many of the little things that we take for granted. It lacks something called image stabilization, which maybe isn't a big deal on, say, an FX6 like I'm shooting on. But when you have a very small camera, having image stabilization becomes very important, because any micro jitters that are being transmitted through your hand are transmitted through the camera and in essence transmitted through your footage, and that is not a good look. So all of a sudden, IBIS becomes important if you want to keep the package small and if you don't want to be dragging along a tripod or rigging it out on a gimbal, both of which defeat the purpose of having a very small camera. Another thing that I feel probably is amiss on the original FP that should hopefully be fixed on the current one is the ability to flip the screen. The original camera, meanwhile, very well screwed together. If you were in front of the lens, there was no way to tell what was going on behind the lens because you simply couldn't see. And if you wanted to see, Well, we're back to rigging out again with a top monitor, or rather a cage, then a top monitor, because there was no hot shoe by default. If you wanted to add a hot shoe, there was another module, very clunky, didn't like it, not gracious, that you had to add onto the side, and it all became a bit, janky, pokey. It wasn't good. It wasn't modular. Modular means they snap together like Legos. Everything fits. It's easy and quick to take on and off, and it looks homogeneous, like one piece. That wasn't what happened with the Sigma. And looking at the new one, which by the way looks pretty much identical from the front at least to the old camera, to the current Sigma FP, I can tell you that it looks to be the same thing over again when it comes to the EVF, that it's kind of this put-on piece that doesn't really blend into the camera. It's like it doesn't become part of the camera, but rather becomes an appendage on the camera, some weird addition. So I'm hoping that I don't need that, honestly. I'm probably going to buy it with it. My thinking is this, is I'm going to buy it right out the gate. I'll order it, because you know how things are. You'll be waiting months if you don't pre-order. I'll just pre-order it, and if I like it, I'll keep it, and if I don't, it'll go back. That's all I can tell you. Because honestly, the original one, as much as I love so many things about it, there was enough on it for me to hate. Like, take for example, my A7S III. It's just out of frame. I love that camera. It will go when the A7S IV arrives. It won't go now. It's great. I'm going to get many, many years of use out of that. It is that good. This camera that's filming us now, the FX6, love it. It does what it's supposed to. It doesn't do more. It just does what it's supposed to. If they ever come out with some updates for it, like the wide dynamic range update that was rumored some time ago, that'd be great. I'll love it even more. But for now, it's a great camera. So tomorrow's a big day with the Sigma FP. I hope it delivers on the promise. I hope that it's a camera that you can keep small and get good footage. I hope that we're not needing to actually connect external SSDs to it, because while it's great in principle, in practice, all these wires hanging out of the camera, they don't lead to a good shooting experience. It's not something you can just pop into your bag and not worry about when you have cables coming in and out of ports, because if you pop it into your bag and you're careless, you're going to break the cables, you're going to snap something, you're going to break the ports. So I don't like that experience. I know a lot of you do. I hate that experience. I want something that is inside the camera. Put it in the hand grip. Put maybe a caddy in the hand grip that I can put maybe one of these MME drives, if I'm saying that right, into the hand grip, and do the raw processing in the hand grip and bypass all the red patterns, compress 12:1 if you need to. You'll get away with it, believe me. I've looked at the pattern. It's not that airtight. Nobody is thinking. This is the problem. Nobody's thinking. But thinking is what I do for a living. So that I can tell you is that there's an easy way to bypass the patterns, and good luck, Red, with trying to, hang on to your highly compressed raws. But that said, I do hope that the Sigma FP delivers. I will be buying one. I will definitely be doing a review on one, unless I find out something terrible and I cancel my pre-order. I hope I don't find out anything terrible. I hope all I find out is that it does have that lovely sensor, which is supposed to be better, get this, better color rendition than the original X3, than the original Foveon sensor. Better, just better. So we'll have to see. It's apparently some diagonal type matrix for the pixels. Has way more green pixels. I think 6 more green pixels to every red and blue pixel. So I don't know the logic behind it. That's not my specialty, but I can tell you that it sounds intriguing. And I've seen the images from the F65 RS, and they are stunning. So if it can do that, we're in for a treat. And oh, by the way, there was a leaked image. It was leaked. Well, when I say leaked, it was on Sigma's website. There was an image of these, I think they call it 3 trees. And meanwhile, the image of itself was a very small image. You couldn't see a lot of detail in it. One thing you could tell is it had some pretty damn impressive dynamic range. So I'm intrigued. I'm very curious. I've been thinking nothing but Sigma these past couple days, because it has been all these rumors out there, and I'm very curious to see it. But I'm curious to hear what you all have to say. So comment below. Let me know. And I know it was dumb to put out this video now because the camera comes out tomorrow, but I'm putting it out there. Comment. Let me know what you think. I'll catch you tomorrow. If you enjoyed this content, feel free to go ahead, like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, and I'll catch you next time.